Good evening. 4 days ago, the British Medical Journal, which is one of the oldest medical journals in the entire world, they began to demand the immediate release of all COVID vaccine data, including the raw data from the clinical trials, which is something that has, until this very day, not been made public. Meanwhile, as common plebes like you and me have to use either our driver's licenses or our passports in order to board an airplane, well, just 4 days ago, the TSA publicly acknowledged that they have been allowing illegal immigrants to use their arrest warrants as a valid form of ID. Let's go through it all. Now let's begin today's discussion by talking about identification. You know, there are a lot of, you can say, bureaucratic hoops that people like you and me have to jump through if we want to be law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. As just a small example of that, I recently had to go and renew my driver's license right here in the state of New York, and that cost me about $80. Now, at least to me, that is a lot of money comparatively for such a simple thing. I know for a fact that down in Florida, such a thing, renewing your driver's license, costs only $48. But whatever, you only have to do it once every, let's say, 10 or 8 years, so it's not really a big deal. However, it turns out that starting in May of next year, I can no longer use my driver's license to fly domestically within this country. Because starting in May of 2023, your driver's license will need to be what they call a real ID. Basically, it'll need to have a little gold star at the top of it if you want to board a domestic flight. And so within the next year, I will have to go back to the DMV and shell out another $80 in order to get another driver's license. And again, that is just par for the course of being a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen who lives in our bureaucratic society. However, as it turns out, the justice system in this country is not treating everyone equally. That's because, according to the TSA, if you illegally crossed into America through the U.S. southern border, and then you were subsequently given an arrest warrant upon hitting American soil, well, you can use that arrest warrant as a form of identification to board airplanes. Let me just repeat that. According to the TSA, which is the Transportation Security Administration, they're the ones who take off your shoes and pat you down when you're going through the metal detectors over in airports, well, they are now allowing illegal immigrants to use their arrest warrants as a valid form of ID when boarding airplanes. Now, this fact was first brought to light about a week ago by Mr. Lance Gooden. He's a congressman from Texas, he's a Republican, and in his official capacity, he reached out to the TSA and he requested that they send him all their policies and all their procedures in order for him to be able to mitigate any sort of national security risks. And indeed, they complied, they sent him over what he requested, and here's what Congressman Gooden said during an interview with the Daily Caller. The TSA's response confirms the Biden administration is knowingly putting our national security at risk. Unknown and unvetted immigrants shouldn't even be in the country, much less flying without proper identification. And then furthermore, Congressman Gooden had another interview over on Fox News where he added this. President Biden is putting millions of Americans at risk by allowing known criminals and potential terrorists to fly on U.S. airplanes. A criminal alien should not be allowed to board a plane after presenting a warrant for their arrest. They should be detained and brought before a judge. Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we also reached out to the TSA agency itself, and indeed, they confirmed to us that this is really what they do. Here's in fact what a TSA spokesperson sent to us via email. Quote, when illegal immigrants and other non-citizens and non-U.S. nationals do not otherwise have acceptable forms of ID for presentation at security checkpoints, TSA may also accept certain DHS-issued forms, including ICE Form I-200, which is a warrant for arrest of an alien. Now, just to pause here for a super quick moment. The ICE form that they're referring to here, the I-200 form, that refers to the civil immigration arrest warrant. It's not a criminal arrest warrant, but rather a civil immigration arrest warrant. And what that form means, essentially, is that there was enough probable cause found on this particular individual to show that they are illegally within the borders of this country, and the warrant directs immigration officers to remove them from the country. And yet, instead of doing so, the agency is now using this warrant as essentially a form of ID to allow them to travel freely within the borders of America. Regardless, the statement from the TSA continues by saying this, quote, all passengers whose identity is verified through alternate procedures receive additional screening before being allowed into the secure area of the airport. And in terms of what those screening procedures actually are, well, the spokesperson explained that after being presented with the form from the Department of Homeland Security, the TSA agents at the airport, they confirm the identity of each individual by verifying the information that's found on that form using data from the Customs and Border Protection Agency. And once their identity is confirmed, well, onto the plane they go. Now, Mr. John Zadrozny, who is the director of the America First Policy Institute's Center for Homeland Security and Immigration, he was on the John Solomon podcast about 2 days ago, and during the interview, here's how he described this new policy. You literally have a federal agency saying, we are so desperate to let illegal aliens travel about the country and have the ability to do what they want that we'll let them use an arrest warrant to board a plane. The policy raises the question, why isn't TSA calling law enforcement to have someone who presents an arrest warrant picked up? And then furthermore, Mr. Zadrazny noted that this type of policy is essentially the administration's abdication of their responsibility to secure the border. Here's what he said. It's also in keeping with this administration's forced decline in immigration enforcement and just general intent to glut the border. They don't really have an interest in security. And so we can have a theoretical conversation about what our immigration should look like, what legislation we need to pass. This isn't that. This is just a total abdication on the public safety obligation of the federal government to make sure dangerous people aren't traveling in our airways. Furthermore, we here at the Epoch Times, we got a chance to speak with a spokesperson for the Federation for American Immigration Reform. And so in regards to this TSA policy, he called it, quote, an affront to American citizens and greatly jeopardizes our national security. In no way, shape, or form would an American citizen be allowed to board a U.S. flight simply by flashing an arrest warrant. If anything, that would cause immediate concern for law enforcement officials. This unconscionable move by the Biden administration aids and abets criminal behavior. Rather than facilitate illegal immigration deep into the interior, the administration should look to deter it, as more than 2 million individuals attempted to enter the country unlawfully during its first year in office, an all-time record. And so perhaps, as he mentioned, I can give it a try myself. Instead of shelling out another $80 to upgrade my driver's license, I will instead just head on down to Mexico, then come back up on foot in order to get my handy-dandy arrest warrant and then use that as a form of identification. Except, of course, that wouldn't work, because the entire system, including this business with the illegal aliens, well, it's all predicated on tax-paying citizens, like you and me, continuing to fund the government by paying $80 more in order to get a little gold star at the top of our driver's licenses. Regardless, if you'd like to read more about this situation with the TSA, I will throw the several articles about what's happening there, including the full link to the TSA statement, into the description box below this video for you to check out. And all I ask in return is that you take a super quick moment to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And now, before I move on over and discuss how the world's oldest medical journal has recently begun to demand the full and immediate release of all data related to COVID vaccines, well, I would like to take a super quick moment and introduce our sponsor for today's episode.
Help us elevate our lives to even better, and we all know that health is the crown on the good person's head that only the ill person can see. And in order for us to enjoy our greater opportunities ahead of us, we need to be in good shape. Right? And for tonight, folks, once again, welcome to our webinar regarding Shopfreemart products and opportunity, presented to us by our CEO, none other than Mr. John Austin.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We have a great presentation for you that is changing lives around the world, and which we believe will create many millionaires in the not-too-distant future. Now, our industry is exploding, and part of that is due to the fact that millions of people are unwilling to take the jab, and they're losing their jobs, and they need a way to make some money from home. They need something that's very simple and affordable, and they don't have years to learn new skills. If that describes you, you may be at the right place at the right time. So without further ado, let's get started. Grandfather company, if you will, we created the Nexgen coin from Shopfreemart, and coins, cryptocurrency was always part of our business plan. But we started out with a number of great nutritional products that are literally life-saving, life-changing. We're going to talk about a few of those right now, not all of them. First is our hydration drops, and they can be added to purified drinking water, which then causes the water you drink to cross the water channel of your cells, allowing nutrients to get into your cells and toxins to be washed out. Now, death and disease are both a result of dehydration, so the importance of using this product every single day can't be stressed enough. It treats up to 198 gallons, comes in a convenient 2-ounce bottle you can carry with you. So when you go to the restaurants or you go on an airplane, wherever you go, you can have this product to help increase the hydration of the water that you drink. There are only 2 companies in the world that have the technology to make the kind of silver that we have. It is the purest form of silver available. It is so highly concentrated that it looks dark gray or almost black. Most other brands have such a small amount of silver that they look like water. For example, a 2-ounce bottle of pure silver, uh, a 2-ounce bottle of pure silver will make up to 2,000 8-ounce bottles of another brand costing $66,000. Pure silver is only 2 atoms in width, which is a fraction of the size of most other brands. And the smaller the silver, folks, the faster it actually kills disease-causing pathogens. When you break anything down into smaller pieces, you're going to have an increased number. So we benefit in 2 ways by having the smallest silver particle. Pure magnesium. Magnesium is the single most important mineral in your body. As soon as you run out, you're going to have a heart attack and die. When you start getting low on it, you're probably going to have muscle cramps, leg cramps, twitching, those kind of things going on. So that should be an indication, folks, that you need more magnesium. Most, if not all, heart attacks could be prevented with adequate magnesium, and every function of your body, including your brain, requires magnesium. Ours is the only form of magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Since your brain requires a lot of magnesium, I suggest you step it up and buy our Pure Mag. The link between magnesium and diabetes is also well known. Magnesium improves insulin sensitivity, and it also helps prevent retinopathy, nephropathy, different eye problems, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, and blood clots. So, you might make note here, if you've had the jab or know somebody that has, you probably should increase the amount of magnesium you're taking for, if nothing else, to help reduce the blood clots. Every single function of your body requires magnesium, and Pure Mag is by far the most absorbable form of magnesium that you can buy. Decal boron. Boron is one of the 4 most needed minerals in your body. It's a companion mineral to magnesium, helps to keep calcium in your bones. And what happens when calcium comes out of your bones and teeth? It gets deposited into unwanted places like the arteries, kidneys, pancreas, joints. It results in swelling, heart attacks, stroke, bone loss, osteoporosis, arthritis, and even diabetes. So when this builds up in your arteries, it can cause many different problems. It's going to reduce the flow of blood, so you could be looking at heart attack, stroke, different things like that. Chronic muscle pain, when it gets deposited in your muscles, we call that fibromyalgia. When calcium gets deposited around your nerves, it's like sandpaper. It's a very hard mineral, and it starts wearing down the myelin sheath around the nerves, and that's going to cause severe pain, nerve pain. Boron combined with magnesium dissolves unwanted calcium deposits and puts it back into your bones where it belongs. People with adequate boron seldom suffer from painful conditions like arthritis, so taking Shopfreemart Pure Mag with Decal together is going to give you the best results. Zinc is our newest mineral. It's essential for immune function, for growth and repair of the body. It is a cofactor of over 100 enzymes. Doctors that are really up on what this so-called COVID situation is they're saying if you have zinc in your body, that stops the replication of viruses. And besides supporting immunity and other minor, and being a minor antioxidant, zinc helps the gut to absorb nutrients from your food. So liquid zinc is going to absorb very quickly into your body. It's going to help support your immune system and many other things like the different enzymes in your body. So I definitely recommend that you try some of the zinc. I think you'll really like it. Fulvic acid is extremely important. Without it, life does not exist on Earth. The fulvic acid found in Shopfreemart Living Minerals comes from an ancient plant source. It's actually certified organic, and it contains many essential nutrients that are no longer found in today's food supply. Fulvic acid is needed by your body to carry nutrients into your cells and also remove waste and toxins from your cells. It chelates and toxins. It neutralizes free radicals, does many, many things in your body. There's literally about nine very important functions. We won't get into all of them, but it is rich in carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which are needed to replace dead and dying cells. So definitely recommend this product here. I've only seen one other product out there that I would say competes with our living minerals, and they're selling 5 grams for $99. There's a lot of grams in one bottle of this. There's 546 grams in our powdered living or mineralizer product, which they're both the same. And so you can see 546 times divided by 5, you're going to have 50 plus grams. So you're looking at $500 worth of folic acid product right here, folks, if you're comparing it to another brand. Collagen gives flexibility, elasticity, and youthfulness to every cell of your body. It provides multidimensional benefits for your skin, hair, nails, bone, and joints by regenerating the cells needed for maintaining an active lifestyle. It increases energy, strength, elasticity, enhanced immunity, and overall health throughout your body. It is a food supplement. It's widely consumed worldwide by men and women of all ages who are concerned about overall health and appearance. Not all collagen products are created equal. We did considerable research to find this particular one, which is a fraction of the cost of some other collagen products out there. And so it's not only economical, but it's all natural. It's easy to digest, it's quickly absorbed because of its low molecular weight and high bioavailability. People are saying that they look and feel younger when they take Shopfreemart Pure Collagen. Fire gel helps correct the energy field or the aura of the body. We once believed that the energy field or the body creates the energy field, but now we know it's the energy field that creates the body. So by correcting the energy field, you're also correcting other defects in your body that lead to pain, discomfort, and disease. You can apply it topically for aching muscles, helps to calm the nerves. Definitely good for aching joints, headaches, clogged sinuses, every time from strenuous exercise, and also injuries, including burns, bruises, abrasions, insect bites, etc. I got a pretty severe sunburn one day. I was out on the beach pretty much all day, and I had some fire gel with me. I put that on and had no after effects, no burning. So pretty incredible, folks. It can also be applied to the skin as a beauty aid, resulting in radiant and youthful looking skin. Our fire clay is made with the same technology, but this is actually designed to be taken internally. So you put maybe a teaspoon added to a food or beverage, and this is going to basically correct energy, the energies in your body from the inside out. You can also sprinkle some on your mattress, maybe a quarter to a half a cup, right on your mattress, spread it throughout evenly, and that can last for up to 3 months. And again, that's correcting energies in your body all the time that you're sleeping. For a sleep aid, you can take a teaspoon in water an hour before bed. For help with aching feet, maybe you're on your feet all day long, you can put some of this in your socks or under the sole of your shoes, and that can last for a long time as well. You can add it to a bath for a hot soak. Take a 20 to 30 minute hot bath. I am looking forward to this for myself, folks. I'm building a new house, and I just got a bathtub installed. So very, very soon I'll be taking a hot soak with some fire clay. For beauty, you can use a teaspoon in water to 3 teaspoons of fire clay. Use that as a facial mask. Leave that on for 30 minutes and then rinse it off. You can also put some of this on your toothbrush to help improve the health of your teeth and gums as a toothpaste or tooth powder. You can also use this as a poultice for wounds and cuts and burns and things like that. I think we already talked about zinc, so but we do have more amazing products. You can check these out. There's we have Pyridine, for example. That's probably the most lacking mineral worldwide. We have the best and I believe the least expensive form of iodine in our Pyridine product. We have colloidal gold, colloidal copper, silver, magnesium. We have Ciaga. That's a great product. It has 3 of the most world-renowned herbs that are known for helping with cancers and other things. This is a very good product for the lungs, for your bronchial tubes. Sugar D, great product there. I thought we had that in one of our slides, but Sugar D helps to regulate your blood sugar. Very good for that. It was actually designed as a blood nutrient to help improve the health of your blood. But it does some very, very good things for the pancreas and for blood sugar, diabetes, and like that. So we make no claims for our products, folks, but you know, you try them. I think you'll figure out for yourself what they're good for.
And now let's move on over and talk about vaccine-related data. The British Medical Journal, which is one of the world's oldest medical journals, it was actually founded all the way back in 1840, and 4 days ago, they published an editorial demanding the full and immediate release of all data relating to COVID vaccines as well as to COVID treatments. Their argument is that such data is extremely important for the public to have access to, especially given all the mandates that have been put into place. Here's specifically what they wrote. Today, despite the global rollout of COVID-19 vaccines and treatments, the anonymized participant-level data underlying the trials for these new products remain inaccessible to doctors, researchers, and the public, and are likely to remain that way for years to come. This is morally indefensible for all trials, but especially for those involving major public health interventions. The journal then went on in this editorial to accuse the giant pharmaceutical companies of, quote, reaping vast profits without adequate independent scrutiny of their scientific claims. And then further down in the editorial, they specifically highlighted Pfizer, who had their vaccine trial, quote, funded by the company and designed, run, analyzed, and authored by Pfizer employees. Now, Pfizer is actually a very interesting case in this particular regard, because they are indeed still holding on to all of their trial data, and they have indicated that they will not begin to even consider requests for such data to be released until May of 2025, which will be a full 2 years after their primary study ends on May 15th of 2023, which is listed over on clinicaltrials.gov. And so essentially, their primary study is still ongoing. It's scheduled to be completed in May of next year. And then Pfizer has indicated that they will not release the data from that study until another 2 years after the completion date, which will be all the way in May of 2025. And of course, besides this incident, we've already discussed in several previous episodes how the FDA was asking a federal judge to allow them 75 full years to release all the data concerning the Pfizer vaccine. However, of course, what happened is that the judge in that case, he actually ruled against the FDA, and so now that agency is required to release all of their documents at a pace of about 55,000 pages a month, which means that we should have all the FDA's Pfizer documents in hand by about September of this year. Now, these FDA documents will, of course, not include all of the data from Pfizer, but at least it is a start. Regardless, though, the British Medical Journal, they also noted that AstraZeneca, which is, of course, another vaccine manufacturer, they have also indicated that they may be ready to possibly hand over some of the data from a number of their phase 3 trials. However, AstraZeneca themselves, they say that the timeline for releasing such data can, quote, vary per request and can take up to a year upon full submission of the request for analysis, decision, anonymization, and sharing of the requested data or documents. And so as a result of this type of situation, the British Medical Journal, they concluded by saying that they have the publications, but they do not have the underlying data. Here's specifically what they wrote, quote, we are left with publications, but no access to the underlying data on reasonable request. This is worrying for trial participants, researchers, clinicians, journal editors, policymakers, and the public. The journals that have published these primary studies may argue that they face an awkward dilemma caught between making the summary findings available quickly and upholding the best ethical values that support timely access to our underlying data. In our view, there is no dilemma. The anonymized individual participant data from clinical trials must be made available for independent scrutiny. And then furthermore, in a rather pointed criticism of the general current situation, the British Medical Journal added this in that same editorial, quote, "Regulators are not there to dance to the tune of rich global corporations and enrich them further, but to protect the general public's health, and for that reason, we need complete data transparency for all studies. We need it in the public interest, and we need it now." And in fact, the calls for more data transparency are really beginning to add up, because besides this editorial in the British Medical Journal, besides that earlier lawsuit we discussed with the FDA, you also have this lawsuit right here in which an organization called ICANN, which specifically stands for the Informed Consent Action Network, otherwise abbreviated to ICANN, they actually sued the CDC because they were withholding their post-licensure vSafe data. Now, in case you've never heard of the vSafe data, here's how it is described on the CDC's own website. Quote, "An active surveillance program to monitor the safety of COVID-19 vaccines during the period when the vaccines are authorized for use under the Food and Drug Administration Emergency Use Authorization and possibly early after vaccine licensure." And so in plain speak, what the vSafe system is essentially it's an app that allows people who got the vaccine to inform the CDC of any possible side effects that they experienced after getting the shot. And you would imagine that the data that came from this vSafe system could be made public if you just de-identified the data, meaning that you took out the personal information, the names, birthdays, etc. of the people who reported these side effects, and then you can make the data public. However, the CDC has not done that. However, what they have done, and this is where things get really weird, is that they did give the information, the de-identified information, to a private computer technology company called Oracle. Here's in fact what it says on a PDF that you can find over on the CDC's own website. Quote, "This data will be collected, managed, and housed on a secure server by Oracle. Through Health and Human Services, Oracle has donated IT services to any agency conducting COVID-19 related activities. All data will be stored, processed, and transmitted in accordance with the Federal Information Security Modernization Act and based on NIST standards." Now, in and of itself, that's not too weird. It's just that Oracle is providing the IT infrastructure for the CDC to house all this data. However, ICANN, which is the organization that's suing the CDC, they want the CDC to produce the same de-identified data to the general public in order to assure transparency in regards to the vaccines. Here's in fact what they wrote as a part of their statement, quote, "The FDA and CDC have now made crystal clear that their promise of transparency with regard to COVID-19 vaccines was hogwash. As everyone now knows, the FDA has asked a federal judge to give it at least 75 years to produce the pre-authorization/licensure safety data. And we now know with certainty federal health authorities similarly want to hide the post-authorization licensure safety data as well. Based on the CDC's own documentation, the data submitted to vSafe is already available in de-identified form with no personal health information and could be immediately released to the public." However, this is where things get a little weird, because before filing a lawsuit, ICANN, which is again this nonprofit, they, through their attorneys, filed several Freedom of Information Act requests against the CDC in order to request this de-identified data, to which, and this is where, again, things get so murky, the CDC acknowledged their request, and they wrote this, quote, "vSafe data contains approximately 119 million medical entries. However, they are declining to produce it because the information in the app is not de-identified." And so this is where things begin to not really add up, because when this nonprofit filed a Freedom of Information Act request against the CDC in order to get this de-identified data, the CDC says that, hey, we have this data, but it's not de-identified. However, on their very own website, they said that they put the full de-identified data on the Oracle platform. And so both of these statements can be true together, leading the nonprofit who is again suing the CDC to say this, quote, "Despite the fact that this de-identified data already exists, that it is already in the hands of a private company, and that the CDC has never objected to its production, the CDC has so far failed to produce it to ICANN or to the American public, the same people being mandated to take this liability-free product. But don't worry, ICANN will not rest until this data is made public, and so today has commenced a lawsuit against the CDC and the HHS, demanding that a court compel them to release this data." Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we did reach out to the CDC for comment on this case. However, they got back to us saying that they cannot comment on pending litigation. And we did also reach out to the Department of Health and Human Services, and they actually did not get back to us at all. Regardless, though, I think there are a few key takeaways from these cases. The first one is that I believe more and more people are beginning to wake up to the fact that the clinical trial data is not actually publicly available. I think in the past, a lot of people just assumed that it was. Maybe they never saw it for themselves, but they just assumed, well, hey, I'm sure it's available out there. But I believe more and more people are beginning to wake up to the fact that it's not with the publication of lawsuits like these. And then also, I believe that more and more pressure is coming on the government organizations and maybe even the pharmaceutical companies to release the clinical trial data. Of course, the FDA lawsuit's a great example. The FDA actually lost that suit, and now they have to produce 55,000 pages per month until all the documents are released, which will be in September of this year when all the documents are released. And then who knows what will happen to the CDC case right here. And of course, the British Medical Journal is a storied organization. I mean, it's one of the world's oldest medical journals. And so their opinion, the opinion of their editorial board will hopefully have a lot of sway so that we as the public can actually know what is going on behind the scenes with these vaccines that are now being rolled out and that are being mandated, not only across the country, but across the entire world. So as soon as I know anything regarding this new lawsuit here, I'll let you know right away. Until then, Roman in the studio, back to you. If you'd like to read more about what the British Medical Journal published, as well as the lawsuit against the CDC or the other lawsuit against the FDA, I'll throw all that into the description box below this video for you to check out. And all I ask in return is that you take a super quick moment to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Now, lastly, if you haven't already, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Notice to get this type of honest news content delivered directly into your YouTube feed while YouTube still allows it.